is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and for our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DiManno. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Today, we're speaking with Ben Baker, owner and founder of Inspire Your Brand Marketing and AI. Ben is a disabled Navy veteran, entrepreneur, dedicated father of 4, and he spends his life in service to other veterans, his family, building his business, and serving the greater community. I'm looking forward to this great conversation with Ben. Welcome to the Warrior Parent Podcast. Today we're talking with Ben Baker, Navy veteran, entrepreneur and AI expert, father of 4, and longtime friend and supporter of Cour experience. We are thrilled to have you here, Ben.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here. I'm super excited. Really glad you guys invited me to this.
Absolutely.
I keep seeing all the work you guys do, and it's just amazing. I love everything that you guys are doing, and it just looks like you guys are having a ton of fun.
Yeah.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are. So I was telling Ben a little bit earlier that Marci and I were considering, the months coming up and the holidays coming up and who we want to be having these interviews with. And we were discussing, gratitude for November. And then we were also talking about Veterans Day. And I don't know how many of you listeners remember this, but we have our very own veteran here, Marci. And then we decided to call on Ben. So I have known Ben for, I think.
Oh, it's been years.
Like
Yeah.
8 years. I'm thinking
It's
8
been,
years
yeah,
or so
it's
now.
years. Yeah.
So Ben came to work for my husband as a DVBE and a disabled veteran, so that he could help support his staffing company. So that's how I first met Ben. And I have to tell you, but after about a half an hour with Ben, my hair was standing straight up. My eyes were wide open. And I realized at that point, every time I had to have a conversation with Ben, I needed to strap myself in and just hold on and grab some coffee because I was going to be blown away with whatever the conversation was going to be. So I'm going to warn the listeners right now. Go ahead and strap yourselves in. So there's a lot coming with Ben Baker. So anyway, Ben, considering Veterans Day, I want you to give us a little bit of background on, how you got into the military, why you made those decisions, and then a little bit of your experience while you were there.
Yeah. So first off, thank you, Marci, for your service. I appreciate that. I love veterans. They're near and dear to my heart. I've been working with them a lot, and I'm also, really deeply involved with like the VA, and I'm also a DVBE, which is a disabled business. It's a disabled veteran business enterprise. And again, just getting into the military, I mean, to me, it was a natural thing. We kind of went through that whole 9/11, that when 9/11 went down, that was something that really rocked my soul. And, at the time I everybody was kind of feeling that way. I feel like the country was really united. We all wanted to, take care of business and resolve these issues. And so, me feeling that, I discussed it with my family. Told them that I was going to join the military, and I chose the Navy because I've always been a fan of, the water and the ocean. And I just wanted to get out there and really do the hardcore Navy stuff, right? You wanted to be a not hardcore Navy guy and go out there and,
how old were you, by the way, Ben? How old were you at that time?
Man, that was I think I was 22, 23.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was young, And of course I didn't know a whole lot, but and again, I'm very thankful for my service and what I was able to do, but I did not know what I was in for. Right. And a lot of men and women that join, they don't. But then again, it's like we need good people to go in and stuff. And that's what's good. And over time, it's just going to make it better and better and improve. But going into the military, that was just something that, it was kind of like my calling. I felt like I had to do it. I had to go out and I had to serve my country. I had to be there and protect my family. And I knew that one day I'm going to have children, right? And so I wanted to be able to be a leader and show them that, dad could go out there and do some of the hard things too, and protect them and give them confidence in the future, right? And so, going through that whole phase, and I don't know how far you want me to go with this as far as depth, but I got to go in and do boot camp. And, I went in probably during the worst time in boot camp and went to, we call it Great Mistakes, but it's Great Lakes. It's up there in Chicago.
Is that where you went, Marci?
No,
Marci?
no.
Where was Marci's boot camp? Where did you go?
I was at Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Okay.
The Army's got its own places, but.
Yeah. And I went up there and, I didn't know anything about this stuff, but I knew I wanted to do it and I wanted to serve, and I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do. Right. I'm like, I'm going to follow orders. I'm going to be the best damn sailor there is out there. Excuse me if I'm swearing and stuff, but blame that on the Navy as well. But I just told myself that's what I'm going to do. So I get there, and then, I come off the bus. They're screaming at us. We get lined up. They're pretty much stripping us down, shaving our heads bald, sending us, packing with our stuff to our barracks. And I remember laying in the bed that night, and I was thinking, man, I cannot believe I did this. Like, am I sure I am doing the right thing? And I just I let myself feel that for 5 seconds, just 5 seconds. I counted myself, and I said, all right, I'm going to do it. That's it. And I heard guys in that barracks, and they were crying. Some of them were crying and stuff. I don't want to go home. I'll miss my mom. And I was just like, toughen up, bud. This is, you're in the military now. There's no going back. You just got to go forward. And I felt that leadership building inside me. Mm-hmm. Over the course of the next 3 to 6 months, I advanced in rank rather fast because I'm good at studying, test taking, all that good stuff, but and following orders, obviously. But I flew up the ranks rather quick, and before I knew it, we're talking within, I think, 3 to 6 months. After I got out of boot camp and went through a small, it's kind of like an A school is what they call it. And then I was being shipped to the fleet. But within that first 6 months, I was able to really gain a lot of experience. And they just threw me in charge of like 40 guys. And I've never managed anybody in my life, So I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But it's okay. I said, okay, I'm going to own it. I'm just going to pretend I'm already in that role.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till I make it. I'm going to be in that role. I'm going to put myself at that leadership, and I'm going to study these leaders that are around me that are amazing. We had senior chiefs and officers and everybody around me. They were very brilliant men and women. And I was able to learn from all of them and apply what I learned with my guys. And I was doing a lot of studying and stuff too, because obviously I wanted to be the best I could be. And so we went through that whole process, and built a strong team. We had some ups and downs, and there was some issues as we go through everything, and building the team and stuff. A lot of people, there were some people that were there, they did not want to be there. They did not want to work, and put in the work. And then there's a lot of people out there that were falling in line, ready to go. Right. And so I got to go through that. And then, fast forward, we started doing a lot more missions, and we started to, our ship, I was assigned to the USS Chung Hoon, so it was DDG 93. It's what you call a guided missile destroyer. So we have like 98 Tomahawk missiles and 4 LM-2500 gas turbine engines, just monster beefy, 900 feet of fury, right? Something that, it's just something that every guy's like, oh yeah, oh that's good, that's military power right there. And so, we got to learn everything, and that's where I got my enlisted surface warfare pin. So I got my waves. So I got to study every position on that ship and learn everything about our surface warfare, and studied under a lot of brilliant minds. And going through that experience, it really brought out leadership in me. It taught me leadership, and that is something that has propelled me forward in my career my whole life. But a lot of those things, it didn't get there without some of the bad. And I'm going to kind of touch on the bad if you guys are ready for that. But
yeah, I was just going to ask, like, it sounds so amazing. Why didn't you stay in the military? Right.
And that's where we're going to get into the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, every job has ups and downs. With the military, you can't just quit. You can't just quit your job and go, oh, this is too much for me, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. You have orders and you have to follow them. And some of those orders can even, we basically write a blank check with our life and say, hey, we're going to take on this task. And if it does kill us, it can kill us. And that's heavy. And every veteran goes through that. Every person that joins the military goes through that. Right. And that I feel like just doing that, just the action of that can affect people in some way. But,
of course.
We joined the military. I got to train with a lot of amazing people. I was part of what they call a VBSS team. So visit, board, search, and seizure. That's where we go out and we board drug smuggling ships and, pirate ships and all kinds of stuff. There's real life pirates out there in the ocean today.
Wow.
That stuff still goes on today. And so, I got to train with the Navy SEALs, and we worked with our local Navy divers and all kinds of wonderful people. And we got to get a lot of really good experience. Boarding these ships was something that I wasn't really, we were trained and prepared for it, but we always expect people to give up. And again, most of the time when we're boarding these ships, it's a dangerous operation, because we get lowered into a rigid hull inflatable boat, which we call the rib, and we ride those things along the side of these ships, and we throw these little grappling hook ladders on the side of the ships, and we board them and pop onto the deck. And we've got a guy in the front, it's called the breacher. He has a shotgun, and then all of us behind him have 9mm. I'm right behind the breacher, and then I got my one of my buddies was behind me. And again, this is where it gets into the heavy stuff, where most of the time people give up. They come out, they see a giant warship, they go, oh, we're not messing with that. But what people don't understand is that a lot of these drug cartels, they threaten these guys if they don't get across with their drugs, right? That they will kill and murder their families. They'll kill everybody, right? So don't come back. Either get caught or die trying, right? And so they really don't have much of an option. And so there's this. It's like I don't even know how to explain it really. There's this, it's like ethics, like I got to follow orders and do my job, but then there's also this personal sacrifice that you're making when you do follow those orders. And that is, when people come out firing on you, as that has happened to me, I had a bullet miss me by 3 inches off my neck and nearly kill me. And it's killed one of my friends. So I've lost people doing this stuff, right? And so and that, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
That's a heavy thing.
That's a lot
to experience, right?
Yeah.
And so PTSD is absolutely real. I after going through a lot of those things, I was able to, and we got specific orders, which I can't really go into in depth, but there were certain orders where, okay, you guys got to handle the situation. And, it's hard when you have to, when people have to take lives, and,
of course,
and it's something that it stays with you, your whole life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I think that's why we're having this conversation today. I think, you know, so many of us, me included, have not had
Yeah.
much exposure to
Right.
the military. The closest I've had is Marci Mitchell,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
tells me stories.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think they're, especially the younger generations, do not have an appreciation, any appreciation or sense of what it
Correct.
is that you just described that you went through.
Right.
And then, by the way, it's not just that experience that you had, it is your life. This is the rest of your life now,
Yeah. Definitely.
right?
Yeah.
That is affected by the PTSD, by the
Correct.
trauma,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That you have gone through.
Correct.
So,
That's the thing about PTSD is we got to be able to educate people on what PTSD is, and diving. You don't have to go super deep with it, but you got to have some kind of understanding and compassion for people that do have PTSD, because they're just struggling and trying to survive throughout life and try to be a normal member of society. And after going through some of these things in life, you don't truly feel like you're truly normal. Like there's some things that are off. And so I'm going to kind of cover a little bit of information here as far as statistics and understanding goes. But according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, over 30% of veterans suffer from PTSD in a given year and or over their lifetime. And so there's a lot of things that play into that. And some of the statistics, actually, it's kind of fascinating, but 12% of men and experience that within a given year, and 17% of women experience it. So there's actually a little bit higher on the women end, where they're experiencing this PTSD, and there's other things that are involved in that too, right? Like there's things that they don't talk about, like MST, which is like it's like sexual trauma and things like that that happen in the military, and it happens in just in life, and so women can have that affect them, right?
And those are probably just those folks who are willing to admit that they
Correct.
have PTSD.
Absolutely.
I imagine
Absolutely.
there's a lot of men who are not like, yeah, no, I got this, I'm good.
And see,
right?
that's what we were taught. So,
Yes.
and again, that's where, like, I'm a masculine male. I feel like I'm very masculine, but there's also a part of masculinity that, as a man, you got to buck up and toughen up and stuff and go out there and do it. And that, in a way, has held back some people, to where they don't. If you go to medical and you complain, and this was a culture in the military, and Marci can probably tell me, you go to the military, you go to the medical and you say, hey, this happened to me and blah, blah, blah. Oh, toughen up. Here's some Motrin. That is a common thing that happens all the time, and they don't talk about it. And you get, illnesses and ailments and things like that.
Is there protocol? I'm curious, both of you, around emotional distress or trauma. Like what happens? I mean, is there protocol? You go and report, and then you get to,
and
they just give you a leave or something, or how does
correct.
that work?
So right, and you'd think that, right? So there is I gotta say this because I'm the leader, so I've got to say that if you guys have any issues, go do this. But there is a underlying culture that says if you do this, though, there's certain ways that you'll be treated. And maybe the best treatment or something. There is that, and it depends on the command and the people that you're around. Again, people are very diverse, so we have people in all kinds of that come from different kinds of backgrounds. Some harder than others. It's so different. And so when you take you take this multicultural environment, and you throw them together, you could have in one command a 75% hoorah, like rock and roll, let's get it, and then don't be a sissy. And then you could have on another command, it's maybe they're more like, hey, if you're having troubles, like what can we do to help you, kind of stuff. So it's very different.
So Marci was going to say something.
Go ahead.
What was your experience?
Well, so I came into the military in the late 80s. So 80s, 90s, I suspect very different from what Ben saw. And then I hope different from what we're seeing now, because I know that there has been a raised awareness around mental health issues in the military. And it might have really taken, you got out in 2007, Ben, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I believe that things have gotten better. I want to know that's true. I've heard reports of, a lot more emphasis on mental wellness because of the crisis we are seeing with our soldiers, sailors, airmen, who have been through this. So I want to believe that it's much better. I don't remember anything about mental health issues when I was in. No one was talking about it back then. I like to believe that maybe it was a little better. And I totally get what Ben's saying about, saying, yes, if you need help, step forward. And then like, who's going to step forward, or whatever, even.
Yeah. And you don't want to, and again, like I'm leading men and women, I'm leading a whole, 38, 40 people. And so, for me to even have, the ability to go and do that or whatever. And I did. There were still certain times where I'm like, look, I gotta go talk to somebody. I gotta go do something. Like, I'm feeling it, right? And I talked to my chief, and he was like, okay, yeah, go, go check this out or whatever. I'm like, look, I'm getting nowhere with my local chief or HMC on here on the ship. I gotta go over here.
So
I gotta go do these other things.
So what ultimately then made you decide to leave the military?
And that's the thing, right? Is that I went through these experiences, and then I had a family. I had Madison, so my first baby girl.
Okay,
I'm in the military, and I told myself, okay, I'm putting together my package, and I was already kind of putting over time because I was into media before I joined the military. I was into graphic design and all those things, and so of course I got into marketing and became a rock star at that, and I love that stuff. It's so much fun, right? But I was like, okay, I'm gonna put my package in to cross rate, because after that, these serious events, it's like, okay, it's time to move on from the hardcore deck division stuff, rock and roll, right? I piloted a 900-foot ship. I got to drive that thing. We used to do unreps, which was refueling at sea, the whole 9 yards. I got to experience it. I lived the little Tom Cruise lifestyle, Top Gun and all that. Right? I had a motorcycle. I did the whole thing. Right, because that's what I wanted to be. All the young boys want to do that. They want to be Tom Cruise, right? And so, but then I was like, okay, I got a family now, and my biggest thing was I didn't want to leave my family. It's one of the hardest things a parent has to do, is leave their family to go fight and battle and do all these other things, and or sometimes even just be out on deployment somewhere and miss time away from those children. And of course, we know that's affecting our family in some way too. So I put in a package. I was lucky enough to get selected to become a Navy photographer, which was an overmanned rating at the time. But I took that responsibility serious, and I was able to cross rate, get out of that after a few years of doing the hardcore stuff. And then I was able to, go to Hawaii Navy News, and then eventually I started to lead it, and I was able to. I was doing a lot of amazing work. I got to work with the NFL doing field photography when they were doing when they're having the Pro Bowls in Hawaii, because I was a pineapple sailor. I was stationed out in Pearl Harbor.
So that explains your connection to Hawaii and the islands. I think
right, Hawaii.
Ben still has an 808
I have a deep love
phone number.
I still kept my 808 and phone number. That's right. I got a deep love for Hawaii. It's my home, really, truly, in my heart. It's my home. So, and every time I go there, I feel at peace. But when I decided to leave and cross rate, sorry, I don't want to cut you off there, but
that's okay.
I wanted, because I wanted to be with family.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about let's talk about you're having to make a change. Now you're a father, and by the way, Ben is a father of 4 now. And describe your emotional wellness now, and the PTSD, and how that affects your family and affects how you raise your kids.
Absolutely. And that is a great question. So again, understanding PTSD, we struggle with symptoms like, reliving events. So there's the flashbacks. I have nightmares at night, sometimes that wake me up out of a cold sweat. There's avoidance of certain things, staying away from certain reminders or triggers. And there's also like a loss of interest in activities. I feel like I've grown a lot over time, but it's not always been that way. I still am a homebody. I still stay home a lot of the times. I don't leave my house a lot of the times. There's, you know, understanding like there's negative changes in beliefs and feelings that can happen and occur on a person that has PTSD. Hyper arousal, which is basically like being jittery, angry, always on guard, or even paranoia. Okay, so we do have those things, and even myself, people who know me understand I have that. Like I'm always in some kind of like a worry state, and it's just because I've been shocked to my core through the events that have happened to me in my life, and especially in the military, that now it's just always there. I'm very serious about security and providing for my family, and I working out till exhaustion, trying to keep myself somewhat in physical motivated shape and all that. And again, a PTSD can have the opposite effect, where you're not on guard and ready, and you've kind of, so it really depends on the person. And some people can really lose their way. Their hygiene can slip and all that. I go the extreme other direction, which is hyper ready, like I'm ready to go for tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I try to leverage that as a leader and a parent, and pull the positives from it, so that I can, okay, I am attentive and alert and understand what's going on, know everything that's going on all the time. That is stressful, yes, but it's also made me a very successful businessman too, which is weird. Like, I'm trying to use that part of me as a superpower, even though I do know that there's this other, like, dark side that's just sitting there waiting to try to get me, right, and try to pull me back into it. And I would say that for parents, especially, when they're raising their children, my kids have seen me, have outbursts and things like that at times. And it's very few and far between, but I always remind them, like, I'll catch myself and I'll pull myself out of it, and I'll remind them, hey, I'm sorry, like that's my PTSD talking. Like I'm trying to control that and better that. Yeah, it's recognizing.
It's really important that you let yourself be real in that moment, that you share with them, here's what's going on, that you apologize, which was not something that was part of Debbie and my childhood. Our parents didn't apologize. No. So I love that you're doing that. And that's good for them. They're going to understand better. And it's good for you too. You get to
totally. Yeah. Human. And they understand. And it's so real too, that they can now they have this tool. They now can understand, they can see. It's like a special vision now, where they can see certain people, even my friends. And I have a friend that has PTSD as well. We like to congregate together, and sometimes we go to the VA and we have meetings and stuff. Yeah. But one of my dear friends, Lou, like he was nearly killed in action. He's a Marine. And my kids could recognize immediately, because of what they were learned through me. Oh, Lou's got PTSD, and his is maybe it's worse, or whatnot. Like he's had some things go down and happen to him, and we got to be respectful of that. Let's keep things down. Let's not do loud bangs and stuff around the house and stuff. There's certain things to accommodate certain individuals, right?
Yeah. And taking care of each other, being aware and supportive of each other is what could be better.
And again, the PTSD, there's different levels of PTSD. It's like a gradient, right? And so you have like basically an intensity of traumatic events. Certain things can happen at certain levels that affect a person in a certain way, that it now has there's serious PTSD, higher levels, and then there's there's lower levels of PTSD, and everybody's issues are important. They're all relevant, and they're all important. So let me put that out there. We all experience things in different ways. But a lot of those things can be triggered by like injuries during the event, other injuries outside the event, certain events. If we're going out with our family and we hear loud bangs and fireworks and stuff like that, it can trigger people with PTSD, especially if they're sleeping or something. Lack of support can be a trigger, because they feel like they're not being heard.
Hey, Ben, on that note, I'm very interested to know what support you've had from the VA or other sources since you've gotten out.
I am very thankful for my military. I'm thankful for this country, and I'm very thankful for the VA. The VA is a good institution. You're going to find, and this is what I try to tell everybody, okay, is that you're going to find good, and you're going to find good if you're looking for it, and you're going to find bad if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to find that in anything. You're going to find that in the police force. You're going to find that in the military. You're going to find that in the public sector. You're going to find there's good people and there's bad people. But I have been blessed and I feel that I've been blessed to have the right people at the right time, usually. And here in the Sacramento VA, I've gotten nothing but great support from them. I've been able
agree
to
with
talk
you.
to them.
I use the Sacramento VA too, and I think they're fantastic.
They're amazing. They're fantastic. They listen to you. They make you feel heard, which is 90% of it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you feel heard, I can calm down now. My guard is not as, up there. And so I can say, hey, this is what's going on. This is who I need to talk to. If I'm having hard times or something like that, I can talk to them about those things. Right. But so and there's plenty of coping tools. They give you coping tools in the VA.
So what are some of the tools? Marci and I are all about the tools.
We love tools.
Oh, you love tools. I know you guys love tools. Yes. And I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to give a couple.
All right. We want to know Ben's tools. What's in your toolkit?
So there's a thing called cognitive behavior therapy. Mm-hmm. And so this is what helps, and it's CBT, right? So it helps veterans recognize and change negative thought patterns and behaviors. It's basically constantly teaching yourself and recognizing when you start to feel certain symptoms of PTSD. It's bringing yourself to the attention that you're experiencing that, recognizing it, understanding it, and then saying, okay, take a few minutes to breathe, whatever you got to do, but understand that this is the PTSD triggering, right? This is what's causing you to act this way and be this way or respond this way. And then of course that's when you can do the right thing, which is what I think you're doing. Not every guy does it. They don't always apologize. We're not good at apologizing, really. But like, I feel like I have been really good at catching myself a lot lately, and it's because of these these behavior this like behavior therapy, and it's just acknowledging that you can feel this way now. Careful. So because what you do can affect other people as well, right? What you do, if you're a father and you're leading your family and all that, and you got to be careful of the things you do and say, because those things you can't take back once they've been said or once they've been done. And so you have to, it's really difficult for some people, but it is catching yourself and going, okay.
So stopping,
pausing,
take a breath, take a day,
I usually count.
Take
I count to like
24
5
hours and say, you know what, we're coming back to this, right? Just having a giant pause for yourself and for your family.
Yeah, and like I said, I count. So I like to count. So I'll count. I'll usually count to 5 and try to give myself a breath. But sometimes I'll keep counting. Yes, it's okay to keep counting. Like
count as long as you need to count.
Count as long as you need to count in order
Counting's free.
Bring yourself back to the present moment. Now, I want to add something that I really think will benefit anybody who does have PTSD that's listening to this. I want to guide you to a book that I absolutely love. Okay, and it's not to get you all, and it pulls some kind of religious spin on you or anything like that. But it's called The Power of Now, and it's by a guy named Eckhart Tolle.
Woo! And Marci and I are fans. That was
Power Now it's an amazing book, and it's basically a guide to spiritual enlightenment, and that's what he talks about. I don't want you guys to think, oh, enlightenment, here we go, but there is a lot of great information in that book that can exactly.
Look at Marci,
a lot of information.
She's showing it to you
Here
right now.
Here it is, folks. It's probably backwards, but it happens to be sitting right next to me.
And there's a reason why he sold 5 million books, because it is an amazing book. I feel like every young man should read it too, because it helps you to understand. We spend so much time outside of the now, living in the now, the present moment,
right?
Worrying about things that we cannot control.
Yeah.
Right. Worrying about the future that has not happened, worrying about the past that has already been done.
Can't change.
It's already been done. You went through these experiences, and it sucked, or maybe there was some things that could have been better, but you're alive now. you're breathing now. There's people around you. There's nature around you. That's one of the first tools I would give veterans and people that are there. Even if you know somebody that has PTSD, you give them that book, give them an audio book, whatever it is, it will change their life. It will make things better. It does help. And there's another one called A New Earth, which is another book by him that I like. And then the other thing is also getting yourself out in nature. That was that's another tool that I use to when I feel like things are building up and stress is building up and stuff. You've seen it. I've been to Hawaii, and again, because of my success, I'm lucky, but I've been to Hawaii like 4 times this year. Right. And so, I'm able to put myself out in there in nature, but I also bought land in the middle of nowhere. Right.
Your land is gorgeous. Those pictures you share. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful. I take myself out in the middle of nowhere. I work on a tractor. I sweat. I physically work myself out to exhaustion, and it is the best experience I've ever had in therapy. My life.
Yeah,
it's
and
therapy.
Imagine what a beautiful thing that is for your family to have, right? To know, like, this is where Dad goes to heal. This is where we all go together to do our healing. This is where we ground with Dad when Dad doesn't always feel so grounded.
And you're building a home. You're building a legacy.
I'm building all kinds of stuff there. but it's like it's for me to like you said, it's very healing. Nature is healing. I love nature. I'm a huge fan. I take the kids to the lake. We have there's multiple lakes close by. I've been very blessed. I'm very thankful. There's multiple lakes that are close by that I can take the kids there and watch them play and do all the good fun things that they want to do. And that is healing for me too. Right. Because I love being a dad. It's one of the greatest things. I've already won life, folks. I've already won life. I became a dad. I have amazing children. I'm super thankful for that. Everything else that I have, the success and all that, that is just a byproduct of
Ben
frosting on top.
Ben, I want to add one more thing to your list, and I know maybe you didn't have this on your list.
Maybe I didn't.
But something I know about Ben is you've probably heard him say it 15 times already, but he's grateful. He's in full gratitude constantly for everything that happens to him, and that is something I really love about Ben Baker.
And I've got one too. And I would say service. Ben is about service. From the time he was serving his country in the military, his family, he supported Cour Experience, our nonprofit, from the beginning. He's someone you can always ask for help, and he shows up, and that is a phenomenal trait to have. We're grateful.
You're gonna try and make me cry, aren't you?
We love you, Ben.
I appreciate that. That's very that's beautiful. And again, whether it's life-threatening moments that change a person's life to say, I'm super thankful now that I got a second chance. Or just, whether that was always within me, who knows? But I do know that, when I got my second chance, I told myself, I'm going to live. I'm going to start living. I'm going to take advantage of this life and its opportunities that it's given me. I'm going to serve. I'm going to do better. I'm going to try to, and really, it's not even like putting unrealistic expectations on myself. It's, I'm going to live I'm going to be a better me today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's all you got to do to yourself. That's all you got to set for yourself, is I want to try a little harder, because none of us are perfect. We're not perfect. But we can strive to become better and become more to ourselves and to those around us.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful for that. And mindfulness and meditation, you guys, that's one of the things when I saw you guys and talk to you that really hit home for me is that you guys have that. And I try to teach my own children that, because I feel like that kind of stuff, being thankful, grateful, present in the moment, having that mindfulness and meditation, and understanding that life can get stressful at times. There's the children that are going through this stuff right now, and we're going to kind of segue into that, is that they're living in a world that is very distracting. It's very distracting, and they're getting overloaded with technology and content and this and that, and that stuff is affecting them. Content can be used in good ways. Content can be used in bad ways. They could be absorbing good content. They could be absorbing content designed to brainwash them and, you know, change their thought patterns and all kinds of stuff. It can be very bad. And so, you know, we have to make sure that we're giving our children the tools that they need to cope with those stresses, to recognize when they are being addicted to their phones or they're constantly looking at their phones and stuff like, hey, maybe you should give it a break. Maybe we should take it out, or maybe we should set times at night where we take away the phone after 8 p.m. or something like that and say, hey, now's the time to let your brain have a little rest.
Yes.
Right.
This is something Debbie and I were talking about before we got on with you. And we're thinking this is a whole nother episode because your experience with AI and with these algorithms, we would love to bring you back and have that conversation with some practical steps for parents who just don't know how.
And I have them. Trust me. I have a lot of buddies that are in the tech space, and, you know, they've, you know, there's tools. Some of them don't even give their kids phones. Yeah, it's crazy. They you know, some of the people that own like these big tech platforms, they don't even let their kids have access to those platforms.
That says a lot.
At all.
That says a lot.
And that says a lot. That means that they know how dangerous it is and how addicting the technology can be, and then what our children have to, you know, battle through all that. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's definitely a topic for another
other episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
because we are definitely out of time now.
Yeah, we are so out of time, Ben. I told you guys to strap yourselves in, so hopefully you're still there, you're still in your seat. But we are going to bring Ben back, right?
And Ben, thank you so much for just being vulnerable and sharing some really difficult experiences. You know, that's how we get through this stuff, is we talk about it and we walk through it, and we really appreciate your being open enough to do that. Yeah,
and I appreciate you guys having me on your show. I mean, this has been fantastic. I'm really proud of you guys too. The stuff that you guys are doing is just amazing. It looks beautiful, by the way. Everything looks so beautiful.
We could not have done it without you, Ben. Yes. Just want you to know.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And now for a moment about meditation and how it can help you and your family to self-regulate and mindfully return to a place of calm and centeredness. Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. Meditation is just one of these powerful tools, and through a special partnership with Donna Appadone, we have created a group of meditations available only on our platform and via Donna's own website. Here's Donna.
Peace is in me. It's the heart of who I am. No matter what happens around me, I remember that peace lies within. Hi, I'm Donna Appadone. I'm the person who writes and produces meditations for this podcast and on the Cour Experience app. I've been hearing a lot lately about a phrase called toxic stress. Maybe you've been hearing about that too. I prefer not to focus on that. I prefer to focus on something better, because I know what I focus on takes precedence in my life. So why not focus on something good and something positive? See how you can do that today. We all have a place of inner peace. We all have the ability to be calm. And the more we focus on that inner peace, the more it becomes a part of us. And when other people feel the peace that we feel, they feel it too. This could really make a difference. Do it. And remember, whatever's happening with you right now, you can do anything you set your mind to do. Every day, even in the last moment of my day, before I fall asleep, peace sets me free. Peace is where I find myself. Peace is where I find myself.
Donna's book, called Drive Time Meditations, is a collection of her 183 purpose-driven motivators. Drive Time Meditations is available on Amazon.
Thank you for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast. You can find us at courexperience.org. If you're a veteran or anyone experiencing heavy anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you can text or call 988, which is the new suicide hotline. For veterans, dial 988, then press 1. There is help available right now. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and with your community.
Our meditation segment is produced by Donna Appadone with music from Scott Holmes. The full collection of meditations is in Donna's book, Drive Time Meditations, available on Amazon and at donnaappadone.com. Thanks to Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. We also want to thank our editor, Justin Veeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, producers, or the financial supporters. I am Debbie DiManno.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. The Warrior Parent Podcast is a production of Cour Experience.